Alright, I'm gonna start her show for 3 minutes.
Finder of lost children and missing persons. Surveillance civil and
Alright, I'm gonna add him to the group.
Investigating. You know I am the chosen one. Not underestimate the power of good, and do not dismiss the strength of the giant. Yes, every Wednesday evening on Revolution Radio, come join our very own investigators. With Simon.
Just here, not dimensions. A lot of these even have still waiting to be discovered. I've always had a passion for megalithic sites, megalithic regions. I've been in many places. They don't say some very details why this is important.
You're the front almost everything to Football Live Mike, James Swagger, Revolution Radio.
Enjoy your extra big-ass fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like yet another?
Extra big-ass fries.
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make the purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you had
Come
trouble.
on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence and self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our Seed Pack Special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need as humans to start taking care of ourselves and not dependent on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What are we doing right? You're going to the eternity.
Yeah.
You see, I grew up in America. I grew up in a land where phrases like, I have a dream, meant something. I grew up where I believed that freedom existed, that that's what I was fighting for, that our founding fathers made America the land of the free and the land of the brave. This is America, damn it, and I'm taking it back.
And now your host, Terry Joyce.
Welcome to the Freedom of Joyce show. I am Terry Joyce, your host. Today we have a really wonderful show. I've got a couple of my really good friends that I do a lot of media with. And one of the things that I do with them, first of all, I'd like to welcome North Black Forsgren and Kevin Korn to the show. Welcome to the show, guys.
Well, thanks for having us, Terry.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Oh, great! It's great to have you. And just so the listeners know about how we all know each other, Kevin Korn is a producer for our own. You are the man for Hardcore Entertainment, which you've been. I've worked with you. You've produced a few shows. That's how we met. And then North Blatt Forsgren is Kevin's friend, but very, very smart and very up on a lot of different things. And both of them became co-hosts on another show that I do called Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network, as well as we created a web series called Trips. And Trips came about when we took a trip to Utah, and we did the Comic-Con convention. And while we were there, the three of us noticed some things about Utah and the Freemasons, and how the state and the religion and the Freemasons were all connected. And our show really became about that. And so, since that's happened, the three of us have delved into a lot. We realized that, it's kind of funny. You start to research things. You start to look around. You start to listen to shows like, shows that are on Revolution Radio, and maybe you get into. I've been really lately into the MK Ultra in Hollywood, and you start wondering if there's a secret government, and what's going on with GMOs, and what's happening with chemtrails, and are we being socially engineered? And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like there's only certain people in your life that you can actually really talk about that with, because when you start talking about that, sometimes like your ideas get bombarded by somebody who doesn't want to deal with it.
Oh,
Or
you get the eye roll. That's
yeah,
my favorite is the eye roll. Oh no.
right.
Not this again.
Yeah, you're one of those people, or immediately. I mean, I've even done shows when I first started talking about it, when I was doing Hollywood Hemptress Hour on New Dissonant Radio, and immediately my guests would call me, "Oh, though that's conspiracy theory. You're being a conspiracy theorist," and and I sometimes I would kind of take offense to it. I'm like, well, really, is that conspiracy theory, or is that just kind of looking at stuff and wondering what's going on?
Well, that's how illusions work, though. People, people like illusions. People indulge in illusions, and it shatters their world when they figure out how the illusion is done. People don't watch magicians when they know how the trick's done, and that's what I think a big part, a big chunk of what the government is doing is it's an illusion. The people, the sheeple, are being bedazzled, and people can't. It's like the Matrix, and the guy who ends up being one of the bad guys. He says, I'm sorry, but even though I know this steak isn't real, I love steak. And that's what I think a big majority of the people out there, how the big majority of the people out there feel. The people that aren't the people that aren't affected by this whole NSA conflict, and whatnot. The people that are just sitting back saying, well, that's just, that's how the government works. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're being rope-a-doped. The real magic is happening behind the politicians' back, behind us. They're just showing us an illusion.
And a lot of times, when you try to talk about this with those people who don't understand, it's not that they don't understand, it's that they don't want to. It's too much. It's like too much for them to think about. It's like it's almost too stressful. And it's words like conspiracy theory that I think are. What is that? Conspiracy theory is what? A theory of what? Conspiring. And what is conspire? All it is to plan together with one or more than one person to secretly commit an illegal or wrongful act. That's what conspiring is. Now, let's be honest here. I conspire almost every day with somebody. Like, hey, let's go out and do this. Is it legal? No, not really. Is it illegal? No, not really. But there's that fine line. Because I just said that, does that make me a conspiracy theorist because I'm theorizing that in the next couple of hours I might conspire? Now, if you think this is how the government works, that's crazy, because it is how the government works. If you don't think that they're conspiring to do things on a daily basis, then I think that's crazy. And I think they have it backwards. I think that when you say, oh, I believe in this conspiracy theory. Somebody just goes, oh, conspiracy. Oh, they don't even hear what you have to say behind it. All they hear is conspiracy theory, and they automatically think you're crazy. And I think that is a form of craziness.
Well, what I find interesting is you know, lately some of the shootings that have been going on, you know, they've labeled them as being the conspiracy theorist, or you know, he was watching you know, Donnie Darko. You know, there's always, I mean, wasn't the recent TSA shooting in Los Angeles, wasn't he labeled as a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, yeah, most of them are. It's that's yeah, that's part of what you see the post showing what the government labels as homeland terrorists. And most of the things for the homeland security to watch out for are just that. People who go who listen to radio shows like this, people who fly a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. People who identify themselves as libertarians. They're all targets by the NSA and by the Homeland Security as homeland threats, as security threats and homeland terrorists. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. The last 10 years have shown us how unstable our freedom really is, and personally, I think we need to really beef up our communities. Start going to city meetings, start going to city council meetings and whatnot, and making our voice be heard. Because I think a lot of people are pissed off, but most of them won't get off the couch. You know?
Well, I love to tell people to start writing letters to their state senators, to their governors, start getting things changed that you want to see changed. But I also just watched a report that most people graduating from university colleges that are there on scholarships, whether they be academic or even athletic, 68% of them are graduating reading at a 4th grade level. That is insane. I would tell people to write, but I don't think they know how. This is a problem, and I can say that this is all based on our education, but they would just say that's crazy and that's a conspiracy theory.
So do you think, I mean, let's go down the rabbit hole anymore. Do you think that that's intentional? That there are people that are we're meant to not, the next generations are meant not to be as smart, not to be thinking out of the box, be in line, behave a certain way. I mean, do you feel that the educational system is designed that way?
Absolutely. It's a Brave New World. I mean, it's a cross between Brave New World and 1984. They're dumbing us down so that they can build themselves up.
They don't want you to think for yourself. That's the biggest issue. And this started a long time ago when people started thinking for themselves, started coming up with their own ideas. That's when the DOE, the Department of Education, came into play and took over. And then they changed what you learn in schools. And they keep changing it. Do you know that in grade schools, junior high, wherever, they don't even teach how to write in cursive anymore? That is old. They don't teach you how to read phonetically anymore, so therefore no wonder these people can't write or spell, because they think that the word "that" is FAT. They don't know. Because they don't understand the phonetics, the actual sounds that letters make. They don't teach that anymore. They don't. You used to learn math with like a syllabus thing, like that thing with the beads. And you started at 0. It went from the first bead was 0, the last bead was 9. You don't learn to count that way anymore. Now you learn to count 1 through 10. You know what? There is no 10, because 10 is actually the next set of numbers starting at 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll do math so much faster if you understood 0 through 9 instead of 1 through 10. That's one of the biggest, one of my biggest conspiracy theories. But as far as math goes, but reading, they're not teaching kids how to read correctly. They're not teaching them how to write anymore. So yeah, I don't think it's a conspiracy at all. I think it's flat out fact that they are keeping us stupid. It's easier to keep you a worker bee if you don't have any thoughts of your own.
Yes.
And what I've noticed is, you tell enough people, or you have enough people in one generation believing that they're not free anymore, and they accept it. I've talked to so many people lately that tell me, oh, there is no freedom. No, we don't live in a free country. Since when? You know, I was born in a free country. You know, nobody sent out a press release saying that we aren't free. We're free. We just, nobody's doing anything. This is freedom. Isn't just given to you. It's not just accepted. You have to fight for it. You have to fight to keep it. You know, our forefathers told us, and they warned us, and they told us that government is a poisonous snake. You know, that you're keeping for a pet. It's something that you have to have, but you got to watch out because it's dangerous.
No, this is what I've heard. According to what an overall agenda might be happening is, and again, I talk about it in the song that I'm doing. It's like, we grew up different. I feel like the generations that grew up in America, even if the ideals didn't, we have been taking a monarchy's been ruling us the whole time. The Illuminati bloodlines are, really concentrated in America, and we're wreaking havoc on the rest of the world. The people in America, I mean, there's a challenge to bring America down, and one of those things is, the gun control issue, which, I hate to say it, but there's the liberals, and I'm not anti-liberal at all. As a matter of fact, I would probably identify myself more as being a liberal. But the liberals are, in my opinion, are somewhat not being liberal. Like, oh, well, we have to control these gun controls. This is a liberal issue. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, don't you see the monster, in the background? I mean, don't you see like what's happening with our Constitution? I mean, like, if we lose our guns and the only people that have it in power, then that's kind of like the toppling of America, or part of the toppling of America. To make us, because they know the citizens here in America, also in Canada, we're rebellious. We are going to stand up for our rights because we still believe that we lived under them. We still believe that we, this is America. This is the land of the free, or the freest that it's going to be in anywhere else in the world. And so therefore, I feel that we need to remember that and kick that in. But there's always this. You get it from, if you start to speak out, you do protest. I mean, let's look at the Occupy movement. Now that I've participated in it, I've had my peers, my friends, people that I've met in the future, or not the future, but, presently after it's been done, and I get this look at me like I'm this terrible, out of line, homeless person, or I'm a delinquent, or I'm a hippie. I get these automatic judgments. Based on because of what other people have been told what that is. One of the things that I'm concerned about right now, I find very interesting, and I do want to bring this up, is about these articles that are coming out about comedians. And a friend of mine even posted this on my timeline on Facebook. And of course it was like, this explains everything, Terry. Of course she's joking, but it says comedians have psychotic personality traits, study finds. And this is brought out, this is also released by Reuters, Reuters Associated Press, which is also owned by the Rothschilds. And it says having an unusual personality structure could be the secret to making other people laugh. Scientists said, okay, we always believe in scientists so much, said on Thursday after research showed that comedians have high levels of psychotic personality traits. In a study in the British Journal of Psychiatry, researchers analyzed comedians from Australia, Britain, and United States and found they scored significantly higher on 4 types of psychotic characteristics compared to a control group of people who have non-creative jobs. Now, I don't know, do you guys know of any comedians personally that took this test? I'm just asking. You know what I mean?
You know,
I
the
know a
same
lot of
thing that
comedians,
people
but not
say.
one of them said they did a psychotic. They did tests with
My
scientists.
favorite part of that report was it doesn't tell you what those traits are.
Oh well,
So what are they considering to be psychotic traits? So my question is, so yeah, we interviewed a bunch of comedians and they said they like to paint. And then we talked to a bunch of people who have never painted in their lives and they said, no, we don't paint. And we said, oh, they got psychotic episodes. Like what's the control here other than a group of people who don't have creative jobs? That's your control. So what do you do for a living? I sit at a desk. Okay, you can be part of our control group. What? Like there's no what are these psychotic traits they're talking about? Notice they don't tell you.
well,
What you consider a psychotic trait?
well. This is what they say. They said the traits include a tendency towards impulsive or antisocial behavior and a tendency to avoid intimacy. The That's why my failed marriage to comedian is all about. The creative elements needed to produce humor or strikingly similar to those characterizing the cognitive style of people with psychosis, both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, said Gordon Claridge of the University of Oxford's Department of Experimental Psychology, who led the study. Although the traits in question are known as psychotic quotation marks, Claridge said they can also represent healthy equivalents of features such as moodiness, social introversion, and the tendency to lateral thinking. Although schizophrenic psychosis itself can be detrimental to humor, in its lesser form, it can increase people's ability to associate odd or unusual things or to think outside the box, he said. Equally, manic thinking, which is common in people with bipolar disorder, may help people combine ideas to form new, original, and humorous connections. The researchers recruited 523 comedians, 400 men, and 119 women, and asked them to complete an online questionnaire asked to measure psychotic traits in healthy people. Now, were these comedians really funny, is my question. um, the traits scored were unusual experiences, such as belief in telepathy and paranormal events, cognitive disorganization, such as difficulty in focusing thoughts, introverted ahedonia, reduced ability to feel social and physical pleasure, and impulsive nonconformity or tendency towards impulsive antisocial behavior. The same questionnaire was completed by 364 actors who are also used to performing in front of an audience as a control group, and the comedians and actors' results were compared to each other as well as a general group of 831 people who had non-creative jobs. The researchers found that comedians scored significantly higher on all four types of psychotic personality traits compared to the general group. Most striking were the high scores for impulsive nonconformity and introverted personality traits, the researchers said. The actors scored higher than the general group in three types, but not display high levels of introverted personality traits. I'll tell you what I have a problem with. When you look at this article, there's a big picture of Klonopin on it. Okay. There's someone, I haven't looked at the video, but he looks like he's ready to kill you, to watch, I guess who this person is. I just, all of these explanations, thinking outside of the box, that's considered psychotic, having humor. They're making associations that people with schizophrenia and bipolar disease also are able to make funny conclusions or think outside of the box. Therefore, comedians must be considered to be psychotic or moody or having these bipolar diseases. I mean, how is that? How does that stand to be? Let's talk about conspiracy theories with our freaking scientists. I mean, they got to do a better I'm sorry, they need a better hypothesis than that for me.
Well, the idea I thought was really funny is the two things that stood out was they were introverted and they like to think out of the box, like they went against the grain and they were in. So when is that psychotic
behavior?
Yeah, and then two, I'm like, we need a third control group. I want a group of drug addicts, straight cocaine drug addicts, because I'm pretty sure they're inverted. They like to hide in bathrooms. Pretty sure they think out of the box all the time. I'm pretty sure they have contact with other people. I'm pretty sure that they're going to go, oh, well, these people are psychotic now. Question, are they psychotic or are they addicts? And the fact that it also said that comedians can't handle social satisfaction.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah.
What's the idea of having a good show? You come off the stage, you hit the crowd, people are like, oh, you did great, let me buy you a drink. You're on a cloud.
I think it's kind of a case of the pot calling the kettle black myself.
Right.
When you do the same test on government or politicians, or you do the same test on corporations as a person, you get psychotic as well. They're psychopaths, and so regardless, I don't know if the test is rigged or what, but I know that these are that all of these facts, with quotations around the facts, might I add, are coming to you via a government who, when taking the same tests, generally score a lot higher in the psycho range than the general public. So, it's just, I think it's, I don't know, I think it's pseudoscience. I don't think it's something that you should take too seriously, maybe with a grain of salt, but I do agree with you.
But what I'm concerned about, and this is what I'm concerned about, is that people who don't think like we do. Again, we're talking about, like, the sheeple, or, and I hate saying that word sheeple, because I just say people who aren't in the know yet. They take this seriously simply because it was a study and there was a test, and scientists say, and your doctor says, oh well, now take this pill, take this that. First of all, stand-up comedy is an American art form. It originated in the United States. We have the American musical, we have jazz, we have stand-up comedy, and that's created here. And then, again, look at what's happening with America. We have all these rights being taken away, and guess who's talking about it? Guess who's vocal? The comedians. The comedians are going up on stage, they're making comments, they're doing their podcasts, they're having discussions about it. We're doing it right now. Oh yeah, the comedians, might think that they might have be telepathic, or there might be like UFOs going on. Oh, they're disassociative, because it's like impossible to be telepathic. It's impossible to be psychic. We're not the only ones who are claiming that. I feel that psychic is our natural way of being, only that we've been socialized by religion to think, oh, it's evil, or it's witchcraft, or here, drink this glass of fluoride and calcify your pineal gland, so you can't see like the other people who are manipulating us and in power are able to do. And you trace back the Illuminati bloodlines, and and it goes all the way back to Egypt. It goes all the way back to the pharaohs. It goes all the way back to whatever's been in the Bible, and they've been practicing. Research it. Do the research. You can tell that this stuff has been happening since the beginning of time, and yet the rest of us are being completely disconnected from what really true reality is. But because I'm a comedian and I say that, I'm going to be considered to have I'm borderline bipolar, or I might be schizophrenic.
Well, isn't that what the Dark Ages really were? Was the stomping out of enlightenment? That, when you think about it, that's what the Dark Ages did. They stomped out magic. They stomped out paganism. They stomped out the belief in the solstice. Or not belief, but the actual use of the belief in the solstice and the power of the solstices. It's it's something that's been in the works for thousands of years, and I think that the whole Illuminati slash Rothschild slash New World Order way of thinking has been in the works for well over 1,000 years. I believe that it's bloodlines that want to keep their bloodline as pure as possible, and by doing so, that they've become psychotic through genetic manipulation of themselves. You know, a lot of those families marry within the family, and you know, you can go through those bloodlines and see that there's lots of first cousins and brothers and sisters that have kept the family bloodline unpolluted.
Yeah, a lot of strange relations when you go through there. And they're like awkward relations too. And they won't tell you like they're cousins, but what they will tell you is, did you know that Barbara Bush, like the first Barbara Bush was this one's aunt? Or did you know that this person was this person's cousin? And like it's like, oh, and you don't think past that. But if you like, oh, well, if this person was this person's aunt, then that would mean that it was a sister to his mother or dad, and you go through the lines, and you can start seeing where they start marrying cousins and blood relatives and stuff. And they do. But it's really weird because they don't present it to you that way. You actually have to figure that out on your own. But if you look at it, that is the way it is.
If you go to Ancestry.com and...
We'll be right back. We'll be right back with more Freedom of Joyce right after this break. Stay tuned.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
Will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you. This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week will go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of it.
Well, I'm not going home.
You've gone too far! And I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause.
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before. But that's fine, we'll just get tougher with it.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
Failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done. Believe me when I say
We can break this army here.
And win just one for the Gipper.
But I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time,
You've got to get mad!
I mean plumb mad dog man. If you would be free men, then you must
Fight to fulfill that promise! Let us
cut out their living guts
1 inch at a time.
and they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man. This is your time. Seize the day. Never surrender.
Victory or death.
Clap! Clap! Don't let him die! Clap!
Alright, let's fly! Gentlemen in England, now obey. Shall know my name is the law. That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our Independence Day.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. One world coming together to bring freedom home. Expect us. We're on it. Safe. You have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. Any survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Yeah, your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is. Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive. Get a full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back to the Freedom of Joy show on freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. I want to give a shout out to Revolution Radio. We are listener supported, so please give us a donation to keep us going here and bringing all this great programming to you. Unfortunately, we did lose North Flat Forsgren for right now. Maybe he might be coming back. He's actually at work right now. And we also want to give a shout out to RV Rentals for supporting us, and also they supported our trips show as well, so which we'll get more into in a moment here. I do want to bring back to the show Kevin Korn from Hardcore Entertainment, also creator, producer of Trips, and cast member on it. And welcome back, Kevin.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
It's great to have you. You know, one of the things we're talking about is that article that came out about comedians and how like their personalities are considered to be psychotic. I just did air quotation marks right now if anybody wants to know that. They're psychotic. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, it just, for some reason, just really annoys me right now. One of the reasons why it annoys me so much is because there's been a very outspoken comedian talking about the 1% and about taking our power back, and I'm extremely impressed with. I hope one day I can have him as a guest on the show. Sorry about the chimes today. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm in a certain room of my house, so we're just going to have chimes. Is Russell Brand. Russell Brand. Now, Kevin, do you think that there's articles like this to discredit certain people like Russell Brand or Joe Rogan or the Bill Hicks that have been, Bill Hicks and Carlin? Just think about these people and what they said and what they're saying, and they're fearless in doing it. Obviously.
The thing is, if you've ever heard Russell Brand, like if you hear him speak, you'll know right away he's not psychotic. Now, crazy is another word because he could be crazy like a fox. I find it very funny that, he started his career pretty much doing stuff like this. And then he went mainstream media and quit talking about it completely. And he went into movies and acting. As far as marrying Katy Perry, which was probably arranged, for publicity purposes, and all the way to him getting divorced from her and him pretty much stepping out of movies here and then going. But before he did that, he did invest into a magazine, which he was going to make like a conspiracy theory type magazine company over in Europe, and then he started hitting the media hard with like truther stuff, or some people would call it conspiracy theory. Someone call it truth or stuff, and I was really amazed at how well he did it, how well spoken he was, and when they threw jabs at him, how well he was able to come back. I was really impressed, but at the same time, it made me wonder, like, what is his real intentions?
Oh, so you're just not totally trusting him?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't believe what he's talking about. I just think, he's doing it for a much different purpose than to actually make it known. I think he's doing it to sell more copies of his media or to, raise more for his media, which is fine. I mean, whatever, your purpose is. I just think there's a lot more. I think there's another side to it, and that's me giving him the benefit of the doubt. And that's me giving him the benefit of, that's me saying he's doing it to make money, so it's okay. On the other hand, he could be, doing it so people do think he's crazy, or, he might be blowing, because he's doing it at an extent that either he's not doing it for them, he's well on his way to them probably shooting him.
Oh, okay. So you think the reason why he's still alive is because he's actually with them?
Right. I don't think he's the first person who's actually tried to talk out against him, but
Uh-huh.
he's the first person who's been able to do it so fluently and get away with it and do it on so many different media levels. I mean, when I can see it on CNN and Fox, when I can see it on Zales and Ted Turner, when I can see it on all these competing networks and they're all playing his rants that are against them, I find that awkward, considering they don't even let their own reporters report on what they want to report on.
That's a good point. I mean, that's an interesting point to make. Gosh, I'd hate to think that that he's with them and not just speaking out for goodness. I mean, again, he does have bring it like he does bring his information with love and being centered and being positive. But then again, he's also, allowing some information out there that a lot of people probably never would have paid attention to, except for the fact that he is who he is and he's saying what he's saying. I don't know. I find it interesting that, you look at things on YouTube or you see certain articles, they always pick the crazy looking picture of him, or, where he's got this, look at his eyes and, oh, it's Russell Brand. And so, again, I feel that there's also a push to discredit who he is. I thought, I started to watch some of Russell Brand's videos way back when the David Lynch Foundation was doing some sort of seminar, and he was, interviewing. He was part. It looked like he was hired to be the MC or the person connecting to the whole thing, and he was interviewing a guy about quantum physics and how quantum physics affects our reality. And I was like, wow, this is really progressive. And then another comedian friend of mine showed me where he had the Baptist church guys who were very, very anti-gay, and I thought that he really dealt with them just brilliantly. Another host, I'm gonna say, like, let's put Bill Maher on the table here. I sometimes, in my opinion, sometimes Bill Maher is mean. It's like he'll take the opposition and he'll belittle them to look like they're just absolute idiots. Whereas Russell Brand had sort of more of a loving attitude towards the people that were really making fun of him, and also when the audience wanted to boo them, automatically he'd say, look, show them some respect, because you had times where you were saying something opposite of what the crowd would have thought and in what you believed in. So even though they have a different opinion, let's not do this to them. And I was impressed with that. I mean, there's just certain things that he does that I feel that are, I don't know how. Let me search for the right word. They seem compassionate, and whenever somebody, I don't think that you can hide compassion.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I think he is personally, I think he's just a brilliant speaker, and he's very charismatic, and he's just a brilliant speaker. Other than that, I'm not so sure if I put, I like what he says a lot, and I agree with what he says, but I'm not so sure how much he puts in it or what his moral as to why he's doing it. And it's not so much like, okay, let's say if he is doing it for like all the right reasons, right? My question is why is he getting all the media? why is the media paying attention to it? Why are they airing it? Why are they circulating it? And why him? I just find it very weird. And this coming from, because we all know his past. I mean, the guy is a notorious drug and sex addict, like self-noted. Like, he doesn't deny it.
Yeah, but who hasn't been? No,
Right?
really.
Like, who's really not is a better question.
Right. I mean, everybody's on some type of drug, whether it's Klonopin or, I mean, okay. Anyway, that's a whole other subject matter.
Well, now, don't go out giving comedians bad names.
Oh, right. Miss Pot Smoker. All right. Anyway, um, yeah. Well, I mean, but again, just because somebody's had a past addiction or, was a sex addict, does that discredit where they are today, even though they have controlled it or made it under control? I mean, we live in an addictive society, and just think about how everything's pushed in our face all the time. I mean, you watch a hamburger commercial and there's, sexual undertones on it. I mean, there's sex everywhere. It's subliminal.
Right, and I'm not. See, here's the thing: is this is what he was famous for? See, my whole thing is he got famous by exploiting his, you know, his downfalls in life, or the things that went wrong. That's what really made him famous. Now, once he's famous, to flip the script and go a complete 180, I just find that really hard. Like, if I see a musician do that, I don't think the musician did it. I think it had something to do with management. I think it had something. If I see a musician do that, I think one of two things: either management was controlling the music before, and now they're free to do what they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or vice versa, or they were doing what they want, but someone said, "Hey, if you want to still keep making money, you need to go this way," and then they started going that route. And I see that. I don't see it as, hey, I'm famous because because I do this, but I'm going to quit doing this and I'm going to go do this now and do a complete. I don't see that. I just don't see that as realistic, unless that's what he always wanted to do and he was under the thumb when he first started. Who knows? Like, I don't know. I'm just saying that there's something else here that we're not. I think there's a bigger picture that we're not being shown. The whole picture, of course. That's like everything in life. I'm crazy. I think I'm personally halfway crazy, and I think no one ever shows us the full picture.
Well, there's also the possibility, and again, that maybe, I mean, again, is he an MK Ultra? I mean, is he, I mean, like, is he part of that? I mean, is this part of one of his personalities? I mean,
Right.
I mean, there is a lot of information now out there about the Illuminati. I mean, you turn on the History Channel, I mean, and you get, this information on the History Channel. We've got Ancient Aliens, we've got all these different shows that are out there that theorize, what has happened in our past, what might actually be, real. Is this information coming to people about the Illuminati and all that kind of stuff? Not just because, there's a theory is like we can't do this. I've heard something where they can't do something to you. They're almost like cosmically required to show you it first. And then once you see it, then I guess it makes it okay. Or, I guess unless people know what it is, maybe on some level we're sort of consciously accepting it or something.
Me and Northblatt, who I think is crazy, but had this theory about how they change the future by changing history. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And like, we talk about things that we learned when we were in grade school that are different now. And there's a lot of that stuff, and like, or how pictures and how they change textbooks, and see, they change the future by changing the history, by changing what they teach and how they teach it. Like, when you were in school, you probably learned that gasoline was a fossil fuel and it came from dinosaur bones, and one day, because there's no more dinosaurs, we're going to run out, and that's why we have to keep going to war to get it. That's not the case. That's not really true. There's a lot of little things like that, but like what I just saw, and I just saw this, is there was a company that just got bought, and this company, what it does is, if you are a company and you have a product or service or something that you sell, they take reruns of TV shows from like the 80s, the 70s, whatever, like these TV shows where they're running Nick at Night, it doesn't matter. And they put your advertisements, they digitally go back in and put your advertisements in the background. So if anybody's watching it now, you're watching Cheers from 1983. right? And in the background, there's a poster that says Subway sandwiches. You don't notice it, like you'll notice it subconsciously. You don't realize that when they recorded this in 1982, there was no Subway sandwich shops. How did that get there? This company that's doing this for companies just got bought by another company online. My question is if they're doing this stuff reruns on TV shows, now go back to your history books and last updated or reprinted. Why are they updating and reprinting these every few years? What are they changing? What is the information that's changing in them? And how does that affect subconsciously the outcome of where they go? And they're doing this with TV shows. They're doing it blatantly now with TV right in front of you. I think they've been doing it for years. Me and Northblad have talked about this thing, saying they've been doing this through the public schooling system for decades. Now they're doing it to TV, and they're talking about it, like, hey, let's openly buy this company that's doing this.
Okay, so, I got a little bit lost about the Subway sign, Subway sandwiches. In 1918, Subways did not exist then. So were they already putting it in people's mind, saying like in this time we're going to actually, or did they went back and put it in there?
What they're doing is they're going back. Okay, so what they're doing is, so like if you were to see a show that aired originally in 1982, right? But let's say you watched it today in 2014.
Yeah.
Right? The same episode. The only difference is in the background. There'll be they're going back and digitally adding this stuff in.
Oh.
So if you were to buy Cheers box set on DVD, you would see a Subway, that poster in the background, or Budweiser, or some new some company, whatever company wants to advertise. The point being is they did that poster or that company or whatever they put in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't exist or wasn't there when they originally shot that.
Okay.
And so they're adding it. The thing is though, if they're doing that now, that's like reverse. It's almost like reverse science. But you're right, yes. I believe that through media that they get us ready for stuff, or they open us up as well.
Oh, absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, even like our movies, everything. I mean, like, the symbolism of the Twin Towers or 9/11. Has been put out in us constantly. Now I look at a movie and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like, what am I being told? There's a theory about the zombie movies, that the zombie movies are showing things. I mean, all of these, like really, I've been looking at films now differently than I used to look at them, and I mean from everything from commercials to I mean you look at the ceremonies that the halftime on the football game. I'm like, okay, where's your Illuminati ritual here? I mean, what are we gonna be seeing? Where's the symbolism coming in? You start to like see what's going on. My point in getting back to talking about like certain entertainers coming out and talking about the Illuminati or doing whatever. Again, it seems like you have Russell Brand, you've got Joe Rogan talking about stuff. You got me talking about stuff. You've got, different people who are now, coming out or you've got Jesse Ventura doing conspiracy theory, and then you've got all the other different personalities like, Alex Jones, who's not a comic, but you've got all these people researching and doing these things. It seems like they want people to know this information for some reason. Am I off on that?
Well, no. I mean, there are people that are out there trying to put out this information, but look at those people you named. You say Alex Jones, and people are like, "Oh, he's crazy," because he just has a way of, like, I think he needs to figure out how to, like, get his message across a little better, but he does come off a little harsh, almost like a Bill Maher.
Well, he's always like, and there's people, and you don't understand, and they're taking us over, and we have to have our gun rights. You're like, oh my God, I need to, like, have...
But then you look at, like, people like Jesse Ventura.
Right. I need to know that this is true or not true.
But he was also in the WWE. They're like, oh, he's nuts. or it's fake. These people that are out there, they get discredited in the media. They get,
Of
they're
course,
crazy.
everybody who's but isn't anybody who talks about something that's going to be unusual or say, hey, the emperor isn't wearing any clothes, they are going to get discredited.
They should, but that's my issue with Russell Brand.
But he gets just
he's getting publicity of, look what he's talking about. He's coming out. They're like giving him the doorway. They let him walk through the door without attacking him, really. I mean, there's been a couple articles that have kind of attacked him, but nothing compared to what you would see on Jesse Ventura, Alex Jones, something like that. And instead, they're giving him the media and the platforms to keep talking.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen some stuff where they've somewhat just wanted to discredit him. I mean, or they try to make him look stupid or however. I don't think he's gotten away with complete nothing in his being exploited on him. That's just my opinion. I mean, maybe it looks like it's well, okay, let me throw this out. And I always say, I always want to find the silver lining in this. Could our evolution be that that maybe some people, some of the dark side is actually, or what we want to refer to as dark, is actually wanting to have ultimate, good for the people, as is it shades of gray in the opposition of what we consider to be the opposition? And what gives more power is to think that the opposition is always just all completely bad.
Right. Well, it's in their best interest. I mean, whoever's in control, it's in their best interest to try to keep the people happy. And they've always done a really good job of doing that by keeping us distracted. And they've done it, for me, in my lifetime, being born, early 80s, in the last 30 years, from what I've noticed, it seems like they did it through politics. They separated people into two sides, maybe three sides, and they kept them fighting amongst themselves. Well, it looks to me like over the last few years, that's pretty much crumbled. That's crumbling. People are starting to come to the realization that there's no such thing as a Democrat, there's no such thing as a Republican. They're both
really, because I know a lot of people who I mean, like, I think we realize that, but right. There's some friends of mine that I have a lot of respect for, and they also are comedians that are really super caught up in the Democrat-Republican argument. And they also base their careers on having material based on furthering that separation.
And I don't think that's going to work out for them in the long run because, in all honesty, I know a lot of, famous comics that did that back in, through the 80s and 90s, but now it's more, people are more, they don't, they're not wanting, I think people are being enlightened to the fact that they're realizing that there isn't this separation. There isn't this big gap. I'm starting to see more, people that are die-hard Republicans start taking more Democratic views towards other topics. I'm watching more Democrats take more Republican views towards other topics. And I think they're starting to realize that those views have always been there. And then they're like, well, we can get along. Why are we fighting? And they're kind of like, well, because we don't really know. It's something as simple as this. Let me break it down. It's something as simple as watch every Republican talk as much crap as they can about Obamacare. What I find really funny is a Republican wrote it. Obama didn't write it. They just put his name on it. It was written by Mitt effing Romney. Mitt Romney wrote Obamacare. It was called Romneycare, and it was established in Massachusetts before, and they tested it there for a year before they decided to make it national. They just didn't want to do it under. They didn't want Obama to have it, so they all pulled back, and Obama put his name on it and said, "Bam, there you go."
We'll be right back.
universe freeze. That's your cerebral cortex looking for an answer it doesn't have. See? Even your brain knows you're screwed. The body's filled with adrenaline right now, whether you know it or not. Your heart's beating fast. It's getting a little harder to breathe. The neurobiological system keeps telling you to run, but your knees are too weak to move. Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story.
You're listening to Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. Reporting the danger. Unafraid. Right here, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
Who knows what evil lurks in the halls of Washington? Well, that would be me, Wild Bill Sampson, your host of the Sampson Report. Join me for Wild Bill's Headline Roundup every Saturday night, right here on Revolution Radio.
Gentlemen, this is a test. Moments such as these are matters of faith. To fail is to invite doubt into everything we believe, everything that we have fought for. Doubt will plunge this country back into chaos, and I will not let that happen. Gentlemen, I want this terrorist found, and I want him to understand what terror really means.
Are you aware of all the poisons you face today? From the fluoride in the drinking water to preservatives in the food you eat. Join Sally O'Cordy for Ban Vaccines 2013 as she and her guests inform you of all the toxins you're not aware of, like those in a syringe a doctor offers as treatment. Mothers are so good about checking food labels for the ingredients in something they're going to fix for dinner. How much do you know about ingredients in a vaccine your child is about to get injected with? Remember, death starts at the end of a needle.
Will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you. This could be the greatest night of our lives, but you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee you, we will go by in your life. You won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
You've got too far!
And I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause.
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
But that's fine, we'll just get tough for winning.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
Failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say we can break this army here.
And win just one for the Hitler.
But I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time, you've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog man.
If you would be free men, then you must fight to fulfill that promise. Let us
Cut out their living guts 1 inch at a time.
and they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man.
This is your time. Seize the day.
Never surrender.
Victory or death.
But
freedomslips.com. One world coming together to bring freedom home. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
There is no good and evil. There is only power. And those too weak to seek it.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Be sure to tune in weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Strange Universe with Sean David Morton. A strange, interesting, and engaging wide variety of topics. So be here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
I would like, if I may, to give you on a strange journey.
Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And we're back with more Freedom of Joyce. I'm Terry Joyce, your host, and with me I have Kevin Korn from Hardcore Entertainment and from Trips, the web series that I'm actually a part of too as well. Welcome back to we're in the second hour of the show. Welcome back, Kevin.
Yes, great to be here.
Let's talk about Trips a little bit. How would you describe Trips to if somebody were to ask you about it?
It's pretty much right there. We trip to trip so they don't have to. Basically, the idea was to set up a way to get some comics to go, to set up, go different places. But the idea was when we got to those places, we wanted to do the whatever alcohol per se or drug per se that is indigenous to said area, and experiment with them, and then at the same time interview that area's either celebrities or artists things of that nature, and we thought it would be fun. We thought it would just be great, and so we attempted it and went to Utah.
Well, I mean, it kind of didn't really. I mean, it's expanded. I feel a little more than that particular concept, because like when you go to Utah, there's really no indigenous drugs that you're legally allowed to take, other than the fact that you can take pictures holding guns just as long as there's no children nearby.
That's from the school too.
That's like a whole nother. I guess I let the listeners know, they're going, oh, if it's Freedom of Joyce, it's Second Amendment, you got to take some pictures with these guns. And I'm like, okay. And so we took some pictures because the RV was parked out on the street, and we're trying to like get them before they were let out from school, so we didn't get arrested. But we took some photos, and we made a montage of things, which actually I posted them on Facebook. They got quite a bit of controversy. Which I guess that's what happens when you speak out against, when you appear to be liberal and then you say, hey, I'm really concerned about our Second Amendment rights being taken away. I'm going to take these photos. And then they're like, well, what, you're a Tea Partier? And, are you part of the, NRA? And, all of a sudden you have all these labels being thrown at you. And no, I'm just concerned about our rights being taken away. But we went to Utah. We went to the Comic-Con, and we went to do a documentary at the Comic-Con. And while we were there, we did all notice how the Mormon religion was very much connected to the Freemasons.
Yeah, that was awkward.
Yeah, you want to go into that a little bit, Kevin, on your perception?
Well, I mean, I had a long night that night. There was a night we were there where after we got done doing everything, a few of us had decided to go explore downtown Salt Lake City. For those of you who have never seen or been to downtown Salt Lake City, it's a very, I mean, it's very well, very nice architecturally. A lot of old buildings. I mean, there's like castles. I mean, there's this castle. It looks like the Disney princess castle. Seriously, in the middle of that, it's just weird. And we decided to go walk around and go explore and get lost, basically, because that's what happened. And we got lost out there. But the things we saw and found were just insane. And the history, right in the side of the walls of buildings, is like they have inscribed the history, and they have plaques and stuff from the 1800s back to the 1700s, and you can read the plaques and the inscribings, and you can see like where, you know, like the actual like imprint is from like 18, and it was just weird. And as you start walking through this town and you start reading this stuff, you start to get a much bigger picture, and you start to realize that Mormons are Freemasons, or Freemasons were Mormons. Like, and that's something that I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of. I mean, you think of Mormons, you think of like, you know, you think of polygamy and crazy stuff. You know, they can't drink caffeine.
Like the women wearing those little prairie dresses with those little hairdos.
Bonnets.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. That's what you start thinking of. But when you think Freemasons, you're like, oh, you're thinking like astronauts, presidents, like protectors of the free world, like kind of, you know, like you think all these other weird thoughts. And then when you say, well, Freemasons are Mormons and Mormons are Freemasons, people are kind of like, huh?
So what? I mean, what was it? I mean, like describe what the didn't it go back to like it started to happen with Egypt, and you know there was like some.
They had some murals that were just insane. Like I can't even understand them. Like I couldn't understand them. I was, you know, intoxicated at the time too. But I remember looking at them thinking, in the 1700s, right, when they're carving this into stone, what do these people know about the yin and the yang from Japan or China? What do these people know about pyramids? Because they had all of this, and it was like this circle of life kind of thing where it showed like on this side had a sun, on this side had an eyeball, and it was looking down, and it's like pyramids, and it's like, and on this side it's like woods and trees, or like one tree with one branch and nothing on the other side, and a guy standing underneath it. Then it's like, and it just goes on, and it has this weird thing, and it goes all the way down to where you see like them baling hay, and then them building cottages, and then on this side it's like pyramids to castles to, and it all ends with this guy having a baby with like this weird like guy in the background standing at a door looking over him. It was really all just awkward. Like, you know, I really didn't know what to think of it, but what I did think of it is when I looked at the inscription, and it was like from the 1700s. I'm thinking, who put this in this rock? Who was able to, in this time period, know all of these different cultures, all of these different, you know, like things, like who went to, you know, Saudi Arabia and saw one of these castles with the domes, you know, like who went and saw these pyramids, who knew about the Chinese yin and the yang, who knew, like, how did he know all about this? That's what I'm, you know, like that really struck me as awkward.
And wasn't there like the pentagram was there too, though,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Pentagram. Yeah, there was a pentagram too. Yeah, a pentagram was on there. There was a pentagram.
Okay, but was it the satanic one, or was it the other one? Because there's the Baphomet one, and then there's the other one.
5-pointed star in a circle.
But was the point? Did the point come up on top, or was there 2 points on top?
Just one.
Okay.
It was just like a star inside of a circle.
Okay.
But it looked very, you know, and then it was like on this side has like the sun, and it goes, you know, and it looked like it was representing, you know, that. Like it was like it really looked like it was like a yin and the yang model of life, but with all these different cultures, and you had like this side was light and this side was dark, but it shows how they, you know, and it was just really awkward. It was just really weird. But to think, how did somebody put this in a rock in the middle of the desert in Utah, which in the 1700s in Salt Lake City, that should have all been underwater. That was a salt lake. That's the whole point. That was, you know, that dried up. So that should have been under. So there's this rock with this inscription of this on it that's found in this time period, and it's like, how was this person able to get around and who put that in that rock? I mean, that raises a whole lot of questions. And, and it was weird, and it showed pictures of like Freemasons. It showed pictures of people It had a picture of people standing over a table signing, and it looked like the Declaration. It looked like people who signed the Declaration of Independence. But it was well before that time period. That's what was really awkward. Looks just like the painting that we've all seen of the, of everybody standing there getting ready to sign. Looked just like that.
How did you know? I mean, like that it was like a picture of a Freemason. Did it have the Freemason? Did you see the Freemason symbol, or was it?
Yeah, Freemason symbol is all over it.
All over it.
Standing over it. It said it looks like that same painting we've all seen where everybody's signing the Declaration of Independence. It looked just like that, except they weren't signing it. They were using a compass. They had, instead of signing with a pencil, they all had compasses, and it had like a G. And at the end of the table where the thing it went into like a globe, and it had like at the top of it had the little Freemason symbol.
Oh,
okay. The compass.
And what about the spot that you talked about that was supposed to be like a vortex or had some energy that you could stand in?
Yeah, well, what's really weird about Salt Lake City is the sidewalks will nap you through the history. They have pictures and plaques like in the grid on the sidewalks that tell you where to go, right? And you get to this building, and it was a bank building, but it talks about it being one of the oldest erected buildings and how they used it to look at the stars, because they had actually built these towers, and they're inverted, like really weird in this V, like 90-degree angle V shape. And so you're like sitting at the vortex of the V, and you look straight up, and there's this, you can see like it looks like the North Star, right? Just bright, boom. So they would use it to do that, but it talks about like how they claimed it held certain powers and stuff, right? Like, and it was really weird because you could stand there, and like if you walked up to where you were supposed to stand, you had no choice but to look up because of the way the wall is. So you need to be looking at brick wall, or you look up. So you look up, your head naturally tilts back and wants to look up. That's just the natural human reaction you have when you're there. And you look down and you see this bright star, and then because it's so bright out there, the sky was just amazing. So dark and so bright with all the stars, and you have this one bright star just shining right in your eyes, almost like a beacon, and you can just feel, it feels like you can almost feel energy. And we had a buddy Josh was with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me and somebody else had experienced it. We were like, that is so weird. Like, it feels like, like you're touching a battery, like it's really weird. And so Josh was like, I'm going to do it. I don't believe in it. So he does it, and naturally his head goes up, and he's looking at it, and he's looking at it for like 30 seconds, which is a long time without saying anything. And 30 seconds is longer than people think it is. And we're just like, kind of like, what's going on? And then he's like, he starts screaming at it, right? Screaming, this isn't real, this isn't real, if this is real, show me a sign. Like, it's just really weird, and we're kind of like laughing, and out of nowhere, a homeless man in the middle of downtown Salt Lake City, I'm talking, we're like in the middle of these really nice buildings, like, I don't even know where he came from, okay, because it's not like he was hiding in a bush or anything, just appears out of nowhere and goes, excuse me, son, but I don't think you should be yelling that there. And he was like, he starts telling him he shouldn't be doing that there, he shouldn't be messing with the powers that be, right? And like me and Tab are just kind of like, we're speechless. Like, this kid sat here and asked for a sign, and out of nowhere, this homeless guy comes up and tells him not to be doing that. Like, what more could you, like, it was just, and he's like he instantly feels this, like, I don't know what happens to Josh, but he claims he didn't feel anything, but we saw it just instantly, like, this rush goes over him, and then he just turns evil. Like, he just wanted to fight this old man, like, just get him. It was weird. It was we were like, what do you want to beat this homeless guy up for, Like, he didn't do anything but tell you to quit yelling at this obviously, sacrilegious spot they have, I was like, and the funny part is you were asking for them to show you a sign, and this guy appeared out of freaking nowhere. What more, do you want?
That was interesting, and I'm going to bring this up. This is kind of gross, I think, but Tabitha was looking for diapers. Like disposable diapers.
Yeah.
And people were weird about it. Like she'd go, well, where can I get diapers at? And they go, for you? And she goes, no, not for me. For what? For a baby. And I just thought that was kind of weird for people. And I mean, apparently, like,
Yeah, they thought it was weird. Like, who buys? Like, they acted like it was weird. Like that, who buys diapers? Like anybody who has a child. Like you, what? Yeah, that was awkward. That people thought it was weird that she was asking to buy diapers. It wasn't like she was going up to men and asking them like where she could get tampons. You know?
right.
It was that was kind of awkward.
You know, the one thing that I noticed, like we had gotten there and we were going to because we parked at where the convention center was, and then we're walking because that's where the Comic-Con was taking place. And you know, actually, the more educated you become, you start to look at certain structures around in each city, and you know, again, the great architecture, right? And so, you know, I just saw these pyramids that seemed to come up on the top of all these, you know, buildings, and I was like, oh wow, you know, I mean, this is, I think there's a connection here, and then to find out that's really what's been happening, is interesting that there is a blend between the religions and the Freemasons. But you know what? Now that I've done some research since we've taken our trip, I realize that that's also common, and it's in Jehovah Witness, it's in like other different religions as well. There's been this combination of the Freemasons being present. Um, and again, what was interesting is that it feels like, again, one of the comments that you made on trips was that it feels like the church was the state and the state was the church, which, you know, as you know, Americans, we, you know, one of the things that we want to have is separation between church and state, but it feels very infused together there.
Yeah, by the like, no matter where you went, that I found was really awkward. That was what made me so uncomfortable there. Was the fact that there was no separation between church and state. The state was the church. The church was the state. And even when we met and talked to people, we interviewed that one guy, and he even said that even though the people in the state voted something in, the church said no, so they took it back out. Which is why I'm surprised marriage thing. Did you see this? Just actually happened yesterday.
Yeah, I'm a little curious. Now, what happened with the gay marriage thing there?
Well, the people voted it in.
Uh-huh.
Okay? It got voted in. The church stepped in and said, no way. So they tried to, they took it out. Well, the people then fought that. It went on the bill again. They won again. The church tried to take it out again, and then this time they took it to the Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional for the church to tell them they couldn't have it, so they legalized gay marriage again.
Well, that's interesting.
That's yesterday, so we'll see how long that lasts. But it's kind of back and forth. 1 month you can get married, and if you do get married, you're considered married, and then the next month you're not. And then really funny is what the IRS told them. The IRS sent the state a letter, and they got it yesterday, that basically read like, well, here's the deal. If at any time during the year they are considered married, whether the state recognizes it by the end of the year come tax season or not, they're going to let them file as married, because they, for tax purposes. So that the federal government will recognize it whether the state does or not, basically.
That's interesting. You know the Mormon Church was the reason why gay marriage was taken off, and then had to go through the whole battle. They were the ones who put the money behind that to stop it happening in California, and yet now, they've gotten what they now it's what's happened to them now has happened, which kind of like is a victory. I mean, I do believe in gay rights and gay marriage, and personally I actually did I did fundraising to overturn Proposition 8 in California, or canvassing on that particular subject matter, and I marched too as well. But I heard this as a theory, and I don't know if you've heard it, but I've heard certain people who are speaking about the alien agenda or the new Illuminati agenda. Is the gay marriage is gay and being transsexual and things like that is very much part of that big change that they want to take place, and also the demasculation, is that the right word, of men, to take them to unmasculate men and make them to like I don't know how to put that, but that
Emasculation of
yeah that's now targeted that men, yeah, to demasculate men and to bring the power into the feminine that way. I don't know. Have you heard anything like that before? I have.
Yeah, and here's the yes, and I believe much like technology, I believe where how they do it. I don't believe it's evolutionary. I believe it's revolutionary. I believe we're going back. Here's the thing, like if you remember, history as they taught us. Do you remember the Romans, the Greeks? Do you remember all these other cultures? They held orgies. Gay was okay. They used to sleep with each other in front of each other in big room, and then they would do this, and then they would sit down and talk politics. Okay, so I mean, this used to be a
That
normal.
hardly ever happens for me. No, I'm
Right?
kidding.
I mean, yeah, like exactly. Like I mean,
I
I don't
want to
want
talk
to ruin
politics
everybody
after
just
my
loving
orgy.
everybody, and then all of a sudden you sit down and you get high, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey. Let's change the rules and make life easier for everybody. They don't, that's not the way it's done anymore, but this is the way it used to be done. Gays used to be accepted. It used to be normal. It used to be, it really wasn't, there was no such thing as gay. It was pretty much bisexual, and there really wasn't even a class for it. You just did what you wanted, and it was open and accepted. That used to be normal. And I believe we're going back into that. I think we're getting back into that time period where that's going to start getting accepted again, where people, where sexuality can be free. And it's not just going to be orientated. You know what I'm saying? To where, like, one guy can sleep with another guy and he's gay. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Or, if he sleeps with a girl, he's straight. He's going to James Franco in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is James Franco, is his persona,
James Franco is pretty much like freedom advocate for sexuality right now.
Oh, really?
He is openly not gay, but he's openly not straight.
Oh, really?
He's trisexual, or bisexual. He likes men and women, and he's not afraid to say it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he actually just got a huge deal with Gucci because of that. He's Gucci's ad model because he came out. And he said, I'm not gay, but I'm not straight either. You can call it what you want. He's like, I like guys and girls. He's like, I'm free. He's like, that's what, that's the whole thing though. It's a freedom of, it's freedom of choice. It's freedom of sexuality, and we shouldn't have walls or barriers or be taught or have to be scared of what you want to be. You shouldn't have to be told like this is right and this is wrong. You should be able to form your own opinion. If you're only attracted to one sex, then good for you. It doesn't matter what sex that is, but there's going to be people who aren't. And that's not going to affect your way of life unless you think they're going to hit on you and like, what are they going to do, rape you, or what are they going to do, change your mind? That's the choice you make. If a gay guy hits on me and I blow him, I'm pretty sure he didn't rape me. Like I'm not saying I would, excuse my language, I'm not saying I would do that, but I'm just saying, like if that happened, who, do I blame the gay guy and go, it was his fault? Because I'm straight and this is wrong? No.
Well, you blame them if you're not willing to like identify and accept what your actions or who you are.
Right, but why do they not want to accept who they are, their actions? Because there's fear on some level that they won't be accepted, or that they'll go to hell, or that they'll be rejected, or nobody will like them no more. They'll make fun. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons, but it's all based around fear. And that's what needs to disappear. Is that fear? They shouldn't have to be scared. No, you shouldn't be judged by your sexuality. You should be judged by what you accomplish.
Well, one thing that what is up with all the orgies? I mean, what is up with the orgies? In sex magic. Is it sex magic? Have you heard about that? About how that's used to make things happen? A bunch of people all get together and go, we're going to create this, and then they all or they use certain people in ceremonial things to ignite something, whatever they
whatever these hot tub parties. You ever eat at California? Remember those? All the hippies where they'd all just get naked and go have these hot tub parties.
Yeah, but were they going? Oh, we want to have. This is for the harvest. Let's all get in the hot tub and do it.
Basically, yeah. And you know, in Russia they call them bunga bunga parties.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The president keeps getting in trouble because he's having bunga bunga parties and he's like married to like 2 different girls. It's weird.
What?
He's married. He's been married forever, but then he also has children with some other girl that works as like the Secretary of State over there or something. But they've never been married, and like, but it's accepted. And then he has these bunga bunga orgy parties, and yeah.
Oh wow, I haven't heard this. This is the president of Russia.
Oh, not Russia. Maybe not Russia, but like It's not Russia. No, because Russia's.
We got to come back.
Like, he goes shirtless on the horses. Hold on. I don't remember what country it is. It might be Italy. Might be Italy.
Okay.
Listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
We're an anarcho-syndicalist commune. We're taking in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a civil majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. But by a 2/3 majority in the case of more blood. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look! Just a flesh wound.
I don't believe I'm sentenced to display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. What? Come here. What are you going to do? Bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
How dare you? No, how dare you? No, how dare you? How dare you? No, how dare you? You dare to dare me? How dare you? How dare me when I how dare you? You big idiot.
Hello all, thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. We are the #1 public access, commercial-free internet talk radio station on the web. With between 12 and 16 hours of live programming per day, bringing you news, politics, entertainment, and just plain human interactive talks with our extremely informative and successful nightly open caller roundtables. And how do we do this? Through the support of volunteers and donations from good listeners like you. So if you're digging what you hear, and we are bringing you an entertaining, informative service, please visit our site support page and donate to the cause. Keep us live, keep us kicking, help us bring you the talk. We are already here. Help keep us here. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Revolution Radio!
Enjoy your extra big-ass fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another? Extra big-ass fries.
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you're
Come
having trouble.
on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I had a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the kid hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need as humans to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we doing live? Let's go to the time.
Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back to the Freedom of Joy show on freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio. Just want to give a shout out too that if you are listening, we are listener supported. So please do give us a donation so that we can keep having this wonderful information coming out on the airwaves. And I love Revolution Radio, so come support us. Also, in the last half hour of the show, I have Kevin Korn from Hardcore Entertainment, also from the show Trips, that we do have online. Where can our listeners find Trips, Kevin?
Trips they can find on YouTube, or they can find us on Facebook. And you can go to facebook.com/groups/trip2trip, and 2 is the number 2, so trip2trip.
Come join us in our forum on Facebook. We post a lot of very interesting things. Some of the things I use as topics for both for this show as well as for Hollywood Hemptress Hour, because there's a lot of people who are very aware about a lot of things. And it's a lot of fun. It's pretty much anything goes. We don't, I mean, as long as you're not mean to people and stuff like that. I mean, but we're not one of those forums where we have a bunch of rules. It's kind of a free dialogue. Again, if you're faint of heart and you don't like foul language or off-color jokes, you might not want to join us because that does happen as well. But there's a lot of very interesting information that goes on there. And what's fun about Trips is, and this is what we've started to do, we actually film a late night after hours version of Trips, and we get into some very interesting subject matters. One that I'd like to bring up. There's been a few things. We also did some activity in the Anonymous March that happened here in Portland. Kevin went out and got some footage right on location, and then we uploaded it to YouTube and spun it out there. So Kevin, you're quite the courageous guy.
Yeah, well, it was kind of fun. I expected it to be a peaceful protest and march, but from our standpoint it was, but the police not so much. I was really not expecting to see. What I saw was kind of made me sick. I mean, I see things happen in Portland all day. Cops, if you call the cops, you gotta wait a half hour for them to show up. Yet they had every cop in the state of Oregon, probably some borrowed from other states out there. Most of them riding horses. Really? Like, who's paying for the horses? Is that coming out of taxpayer money? Like, Are we running down Jesse James after he robs a train? Like, I mean, who are we? What stagecoach are we pulling over with horses? And then they had like ice cream trucks, literally decked out with SWAT teams in there, and they're screaming at us, threatening us, like trying to rile us up. I was just really amazed at how much they tried to instigate us. It was the weirdest thing. They tried to instigate us into doing something stupid so they could hit us. And, as it turns out, they ended up beating up somebody anyways for no reason. I got caught on tape. So, I left before that happened, which was a good idea.
Oh, what I thought was interesting is that you said that you felt that it was infiltrated, that they were protesters that weren't really protesters.
Oh, that was obvious. There were people marching that were wearing badges, literally on the side of their hip. They had their badge on the side of their hip. That's standing on every street corner that were cops. I mean, you could see them everywhere. You could see, and then there was like a couple of protesters that were out of control, and everybody else that seemed to be part of the protest was kind of like, "You guys need to calm down." They were like, and it could just be downtown Portland where they picked up some crazies, but to me it seemed like they were working in conjunction with the cops, trying to rile people up.
Yeah, I find that I found that to be interesting. That was your that's possible way. I mean, like I felt, in Occupy that it was infiltrated by military.
Right.
And there were a few people that would say, "Hey, these guys in the they had the black cars and they pulled me over and they said stuff to me." And of course, the person that was telling me this, I believe is a schizophrenic or he was an artist, and so it's kind of hard to tell, what might be real or not real. But I don't know. I mean, I mean, I had feelings of, that there were things that didn't add up for me with people that I was hanging around with or circles that I was involved in. That later on, I've pulled back and looked at them and wondered who they are. And I believe that. Again, there's the reports that the NSA or our government, has they've tapped into our cell phones. They've been monitoring people that were part of the Occupy movement to keep tabs on them. I know somebody who I've had personal conversations with that they feel that their life has just become havoc over it, and personal lives, and and I've talked to other Occupy participants who feel that they've been maybe even gang stalked on some level as well. And that's just sad because it is in the Constitution that we are allowed to assemble and protest, and that's becoming more and more taken away from us, especially with the NDAA bill and things of this. Like, I wanted to talk to you about like what happened to your cell phone too after you were out there.
Yeah, that's what's really weird is I came home and within 48 hours my cell phone was wiped clean and my laptop. My cell phone and my laptop were hit. So I found that awkward. And then come to find out that they were, just a week before, they were permitted in Seattle to use some machines that did that to test them on people. And then Seattle got in trouble because supposedly they left them on. Makes me wonder if they weren't, out there testing them in Portland too. We just don't know about it.
We have only just a few minutes left. I want to also let our listeners know that that we do have our pilot video that we did in Utah, and also with the Comic-Con convention is called it's called Superheroes in Freemasonry. That's the title of the YouTube video. It's an hour long, and it basically shows some of the Comic-Con as well as us talking about what we thought in more detail of what was going on in Utah. We've only covered a little bit of that today in what our experience is, but I if you want to just go ahead and check that out. There was something that unfortunately Northblatt had to leave us today. I mean, he does work, and he was able to be on the show for 1/2 hour before his boss came in. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, you're on a radio show. Okay, nah, you got to go sell RVs. But he did post something about the new pope that we have going on, and one of the comments that he made was, "There's a secret religion of enlightenment that has been hidden from us, and I think this new pope is on our side." And then he mentions the prophecies of Saint Malachi. Is that Malachi? I don't know if I'm saying that right. States that he is the last pope, the pope that will bring down the Catholic Church. What do you feel about this pope? Because you know what, the jury's out for me on this new pope. I have my feelings about what's going on there. You do?
Yeah, he's systematically dismantling the Catholic Church. So I mean, it depends if you're like a diehard Catholic. You're like, I hate him because he's destroying everything we've been brought up to believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're somebody who's like, the Catholic Church is really, I think it's a form of organized crime. And it's basically being, and for all the reasons that I don't like it, and I think it's wrong and completely ignorant, this guy is standing up there telling them the same thing. You guys are crazy. This is not what this means. This is not what this is supposed to do. And he's up there telling people they're wrong. And I'm like, this is the first pope that's ever done that, and I'm like, this is awesome. And they do say he is the last pope by number. They actually by number, and they actually talk about the pope before him quitting. And
yeah, but what about I mean, let's talk about like why did he quit? I mean, like let's think about like how the Catholic Church over the history of time is believed to be linked to the Illuminati. That it is the Illuminati. That they've been doing satanic sacrifices. They've been abusing children as part of what they do, so that they can gain power off of children that way. They're completely corrupt and evil, and then all of a sudden we've got this new pope running around going, oh, it's gay marriage, and it's this and that, and it's potpourri. We're the hip pope, we're the cool pope. Huh?
The people in the church do not like him.
Oh.
They hate him. They don't like this pope. The people who run the Catholic Church do not like this pope at all. They are not happy that this guy is the pope.
Yeah, but what about the thought of that they're wanting to make a one world religion, and what a better way to do it but to have the Pope denounce his own religion to create another religion that everybody is to now think is really cool and follow.
I don't think you could ever get a one world religion because of so many. But and it's weird that you bring up Catholicism with the Illuminati and the things. But
I don't think it's weird. Have you? I mean, there's tons of information out there on that.
I mean, like we were talking about, like there's the Freemasons also are part of all these other religions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you hear the old stories, you go back to something about the Knights Templar, right?
Right.
They all disbanded and split up. What did they all do? Go out and create their own religions? And they've all been hiding amongst these religions?
So who's creating the religions in the first place is my question.
Anybody. Ask Ron L. Hubbard.
Right. Or
anybody. That's the only way you get rich. He said it's the only way to get rich.
Yeah, but it's beyond getting rich.
Well, that was his motive.
Right. Well, was it totally? I mean, like, because Ron L. Hubbard is also a known he practiced black magic with Aleister Crowley and Anton LaVey in Pasadena, California.
There's a great
and Jack Parsons.
And what's really weird is I just watched a movie called Inside Llewellyn Davis by the Coen brothers. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And there's a great scene with John Goodman, okay, who plays a blues musician on his way to Chicago, and this guy has to drive him. So the whole scene is like them driving to Chicago and him and the guy driving, his driver, talking back and forth. And the guy driving is like doesn't really like him, so he kind of smarts off and he's like, "Dude, keep talking, I'll mess you up." And then John Goodman's like, and the movie takes place in 1963. Okay, that's supposed to be the era. And he starts talking about, I study Santeria. I study what you might call the black magic, Satan. And he goes and he's like, dude, so I do not fear. And he gives this long speech about how everybody misunderstands it. He studied this, and that's why he's rich, and that's why he's famous and going on to be famous and do all this stuff, because he's studied this and he's been enlightened and awakened, and you guys are all like, he's like, so I don't fear any man who can't understand, and he just basically goes, I know, and it was just, he's like, so your threats, he's like, you're gonna mess me up, fear me not, boy. And it's just really funny, but it was like the greatest speech I'd ever heard, because basically he talks about everything that we were told are wrong, right? Like, this is dark, this is bad, these are evil, right? And he talks about it as it being a good thing, and that how he's being subjected as evil and how people are called as evil. But he's like, but he's like, if if that's like what I've learned, he's like, in Money is Evil, he's like, look at all the evil I've earned or something, you know, like he's like talking about how like it's not, it's backwards. He's talking about how everybody views it backwards, and it was a great speech. It was really weird.
You know, the Pope. I'm still on. I'm really. The Pope is bothering me. No, I don't trust it. Okay, you do history of corruption, the Crusades. You know, all the stuff that's been going on. The last, Pope looked like he was, Dracula practically. All right.
He was a Nazi.
Well, and then now this new, all of a sudden, the new, gay marriage is okay. I thought it was interesting that the Pope along in 2009 announces that, that UFOs or that there's possibility of extraterrestrial life. I'm like, why is the Pope making that announcement? Because they've been in on it the whole time. And now they want to, and I've also heard there's also that possibility that they wanted to do a false UFO presentation for everybody that's not the real extraterrestrials, but it's another like avenue of fear and manipulation. I'm sorry, but it's like a bad relationship with somebody. You have to show me that you've really changed than just to come out and start saying a couple liberal buzzwords that are part of what's in the popular media right now. Everybody's talking about gay rights. Of course, now the Pope jumps on the bandwagon. Well, where was he 3 or 4 years ago? Now he's cool. Now he's the cool Pope. I'm having a problem with it. I'm having a big problem with it.
I don't think he's the cool Pope. He's the Pope that's going to get rid of Catholicism. That's actually.
And so why do they want to do that? Why do they all of a sudden want to get rid of themselves? There has to be more of a motivation than Catholicism. I mean, why is that going on? I'm not a fan of Catholicism.
Something else that you'll find really interesting. Did you know that the Catholic Church themselves own all the telescopes? You know, the big ones, like the big dome ones that you see on mountains that look at the sky and look at the stars?
Uh-huh.
You know, the Catholic Church owns them all in the U.S. and NASA and universities just rent it from them. They own the telescopes.
Huh. I wonder what that's all about.
Well, you also go into cathedrals, and they have pictures in their cathedrals that were painted hundreds of years ago that depict UFOs on them, depict flying saucers, literally.
Huh. So what would happen if, now the Pope's being all cool and everything and going, yeah, gay marriage, yeah, this, yeah, that, he's sounding more like a Buddhist than a Catholic. What if the whole world finds out how awful and how really corrupt they've really been and they really realize it? I mean, like, what will... I don't know. Is our society even ready? Is the world ready to face their own religions and realize that most of them are flawed?
I think, well, that's already been seen, and I don't know what country it was. I don't know if it was like Norway. I don't know if it was Iceland. It might have been Iceland, where for the first time in history, the Census Bureau, the #1 religion was none. They all said none. Instead of saying they were Catholic or Christian or atheist, because all those options are on there, and it's actually been Christianity that's always been really big there. It's been a very big Christianity. This time around, it came back none.
I find it interesting too that it seems like Christians are getting a lot of bashing. I've posted some things in certain forums. I use the term Christ consciousness, and I got attacked for, what do you mean Christ? What is this? Well, like excluding all the other religions in this? Or it almost seems like again, they're being associated with Republicans or mean people and things like this. And why is that happening? Why is it cooler to be an atheist than it is to be a Christian?
I don't know, and I don't think it's cool to be an atheist, because an atheist means you don't believe in anything. Really. I mean, it's almost like being, like what they make fun of in The Big Lebowski. Those guys, they're like, oh, we're nihilists. We believe in nothing.
We're a nihilist.
We're nihilists. We believe in nothing. That just cracks me up. But it's like, don't believe in it. It's like, no, that, like the idea is like, for me, it's like, I don't believe personally in religion. I don't really believe in a God, like a humanoid figure that made us and said, here. I do believe in higher power, whether it be, and it doesn't even have to be in the form of a life form. It can be in spirit or in light or in something. But I do believe that there is a higher power that gives us the ability to be what and who we are. I don't think it controls once we are here and what I believe we are given freedom of choice, and we can choose and we create our own destinies and our own paths. So I don't believe that's determined for us, nor do I believe I should have to feel guilty for any choices I choose. Like if you make you're human. You're going to make right choices. You're going to make wrong choices. Consequences, repercussions. I don't think it's, the choices you make that make you human, but it's how you go on with the choices you make that make you human. You can make bad choices and you can go on and you can correct those choices, or you can learn from them, or you can man up to them, and you can acknowledge, and you can go on. You learn from your mistakes. Or you can just be like, you can hide from it, or you can keep making the same mistake over and over. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can, it's really up to you. You are in control of yourself, and I think people should quit looking for other people, whether it be religion, God, government. Quit looking at anybody else other than yourself for the answers to the questions you already have the answers for.
We are down to the last couple of minutes of the show. I just want to do a couple of really quick plugs. Please follow. You can follow Freedom of Joyce. I have a Facebook page. It is titled Freedom of Joyce. I am on Facebook, Terry Joyce. Also, I am on Twitter as Terry Joyce, and that's TERE. So keep us in the loop. And again, please do make a donation to Revolution Radio. And Kevin, let's talk about trips. And again, you can find us on Facebook. Come join our forum, become a part of us. We do live stream in the middle of the night. If you ever see, a 3 a.m. Cast going out on the Facebook pages, that's usually us doing trips after hours. And we are going to get our own site here soon, our own blog site, and our own Ustream channel trips as well. So stay tuned with more information on that. And Kevin, thank you for doing the show. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to say to our listeners?
Yeah, make sure to stay tuned to other shows here on Revolution Radio and to donate. Make sure you give a donation. This is 100% support, listener supported. As well as check out Time for Hemp in the Hollywood Hemptress Hour, as we're on there, as well as trips on Facebook. Trip to Trip, as well as Hardcorn ENT, Hardcore Entertainment. That's a good one. You can check that out on Facebook as well. And make sure to find us on. You can find me at Twitter at Hardcorn Comedy. So.
Great, and we'll be working a comedy club near you in the future, because I'm sure that we're going to be doing a lot more stuff to go on tour. Great show, Kevin. I'd love to have you guys back another time. Just kind of like maybe have you become every once in a while, once a month, something guest. Just to kind of check in. I just love you and North Flat and what you think, and how you express how we express stuff. Is really great. I guess we have like a few more minutes here. Maybe I started. I know the music will come and it'll be time to go at some point.
It's like walking off the podium, and like you just won an award, and they're like, I just started taking my mother and the orchestra.
All right, we are gone now. Thank you. We'll be here next week at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Thank you for listening to